So glad you're here. We'll go ahead and start as we usually do with just a check-in to kind of see where we're at. And then I'll open up the talk. We're going to be exploring the hindrances today. I'm so glad you're here. There's so much here to unearth. And my deepest hope and intention is that it really supports it really supports you and your peace and your connection to your wholeness. So just going ahead and, if you want to close your eyes, you can, and just taking a moment to settle into your body. Taking a deep breath in through our nose. We'll hold at the top of our inhale and sip in a little bit more. And then exhale, let it go. Like you're dropping a weight or a burden. And again, deep breath in. Hold, sip in a little bit more. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears. And exhale, let it go. And one more like that, breathing in. Hold, sipping in a little bit more. And exhale, let it go. And there's just this sense that I'm arriving here, now. Really getting a sense of what it means to be here, now. To allow yourself to drop any ways that you might be somewhere else more than you are right here, now. And then to acquaint yourself with how your heart is this morning, or I think, or whatever time it is for you. Connecting with the body, sensing if there's happy, sad, angry, afraid, or some variation of that. And reminding the mind to just come close to the bone, just allowing awareness to really settle close to the bone. There's nowhere else you have to be but here, now. And so from here and now, sensing into your intention, what is it that you'd really like to feel and receive from our time together? We can bring our palms together in front of our hearts and then seal that with a bow. You can put your intention, what it is that you would like to feel or receive from our time together, in the chat. Welcome Terry, Candace, Angie, and Ruth. A small group this morning, or whatever time it is for you. Yeah, so happy you're here. This is a good one. Really, I hope you enjoy our talk and our sit. But before I dive into the content, I just want to know what your intentions are as we explore the hindrances.
Well, I feel like I need some focus and clarity.
Great, thank you,
Ruth. I get all jumbled up and I need to be clear.
Yeah, good. This talk, especially around restlessness and worry, because that's one of the hindrances, will really support that. Yes, good, welcome. One in community with the exclamation mark. Yes, Angie and Terry, connection and growth. Beautiful. Oh, so glad you're here, Terry. Yay. Good. So the hindrances, the Buddha, talked about the hindrances. And it's really important as we explore the terrain of the hindrances that we understand that they're not indicative of anything being wrong with you or your practice. Oftentimes the hindrances, and there's 5 of them, are, we judge them. We judge ourselves for having them. And we think that there's something wrong because we experience them. We even sometimes hope that our practice will be a way to get rid of them so we don't have to feel uncomfortable, right? So it's really good to just sense as we explore the terrain of these hindrances that they are not, because you experience them does not at all mean that there's anything wrong with you or your practice. As a matter of fact, you can't help but experience them, which is why I called the name of this talk the Blameless Refuge, because there's so much freedom that can be available and so much growth that can happen inside of ourselves and our practice when we are willing to face our hindrances, to see them clearly, and to not do anything with what we see. And that's the part this is the part that we get stuck on, and I'll unpack that a little bit more as we go. Hi Marlene, welcome. Got a small sangha today. I'm so glad you're all here. Let's talk about, before I dive in, I want to share this poem that I think really addresses the blameless nature of the hindrances. And, this is Thich Nhat Hanh, and he passed, he left his body a bit ago, just recently. And I learned about it while I was on retreat at Spirit Rock. And I'll share a little story about him with you. But first I want to share this poem. And so just take this in, almost like you could listen to it through your skin. It's called Call Me By My True Names. And remember, this is he was a very, very, very deep practitioner. He had such a peace about him. You might think that he doesn't experience the hindrances, but listen to this. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow, because even today I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second I am arriving to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am a mayfly, metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I'm a frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks. And I am the arms merchant, selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl refugee on a small boat who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am also the pirate. My heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the 4 oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up and the door of my heart could be left open, the door of compassion. Without compassion, we hate ourselves. Because as much as we would like it not to be so, we are the girl and we are the pirate. We are the mayfly and we are the snake. We are all of it. And our practice of compassion allows us to see the hindrances that are in place that cause us to act out unskillfully. The action that is born of one of the hindrances, which I'll get into, are they cause harm. But there's a space that we can inhabit, that we can abide in, that I call the Blameless Refuge, that sees, shit, I am all of it, right? You sit with yourself. I just got back from retreat, and you sit so much with yourself. I mean, you sit and sit and sit and sit and sit and sit and sit. And you see things that if you don't have love and compassion, you may not see, because shame will cloud it over, so we can't see. If we want to see, to be free. And to be free doesn't mean to be rid of. To be free means I'm not identified, I'm not as hooked by what I'm seeing. So the 5 hindrances are mental states that impede our practice and lead us toward unwholesome actions. And they are, I have this in capital letters, impersonal. Thich Nhat Hanh experiences them, Buddha experiences them, I experience them, and so do you, all of them. And if we're honest, we experience them every day. When you sit in meditation, you're sitting with yourself, you really kind of can see how the hindrances are arising. And I'll share some stories as I move forward with the first hindrance, which is sensual desire. They are impersonal. You cannot, I really want you to hear this. You cannot stop them from arising, and they are not your fault. You don't make them happen. And that's why, one of the beautiful things about meditation practice is you get really clear that the arising is happening beyond your will. You're not deciding at 5 p.m. today you're going to be like caught in craving so strongly, for chocolate cake. sensual desire, that you eat the whole cake. Like no one plans that. And so that's where there's space for compassion, when you really recognize the impersonal nature of these. Every human being experiences them, whether you're a saint or a sinner. And the truth is, we're both, yeah? What we want to do is see the hindrances with kindness and care. So friendliness is the bedrock of working with the hindrances. Sensual desire is and so as I go through the hindrances, I want you to just sense like how you can kind of relate to maybe places in your life where they're operating. And maybe you'll have some insight into something in your own practice that can help you get a little bit more freed up. Because when we have right relationship with the hindrances, meaning we're seeing them clearly, there's so much to just seeing them, then we won't act out of them. And we can choose more skillful action. So sensual desire has to do with wanting. And the wanting distracts us from the moment and we get swept away. We can have wanting for food, for sex, and pleasurable experiences without end. Because it's not what's available at the moment, we cling and grasp. So it's like, I want something that's not here. And then the big thing too about hindrances that I didn't mention is the assumption. The thing that we're believing that's a lie that we need to realize is that getting that thing, like for sensual desire, getting satisfied is just temporary. It's not the true satisfaction of the true refuge. So it's good to see that though it feels like it and though it looks like it, man, my life everything will be taken care of if I just, have this thing, if I just, have this house, or I have this car, or I have that massage, or, I go on that vacation, or, I have that retreat in Bali, or you have your things, so do I. We have sensual desires and we think that that's going to satisfy the soul and make it less thirsty, and it doesn't. It's really important that we see that, and it will arise. Even though we know that it doesn't ultimately satisfy, it still arises. We may feel like we're leaning forward all the time, trying to get to a place where we can finally relax, right? So waiting, right? Like I'll find, when I get that, so it's this leaning forward, we're trying to get somewhere, and we don't even know where we're trying to get, but it's a sense that I'm just not okay right here, right now, because I'm wanting. So here's an example that I wanted to share with you from retreat. So I did you sign up for yogi jobs, and so I signed up to light the candles in the meditation hall in the morning. And so I got up, made sure I was up early enough so that I could go get my coffee and sit by the Buddha. There's a Buddha there. I like to sit and have my coffee by Buddha, and then I go up to the meditation hall and light the candles and get ready for the morning sit. So I woke up, I could feel it wanting, this experience, of like, I'd remembered it from the last time I was at Spirit Rock. And so I could feel it, I could feel this like craving, this wanting. And then, I go down, and of course, like there's someone sitting by my Buddha. Right? So it's like, and it was just a good opportunity for me to practice, and I could see like I was irritated, I was angry, and then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm caught in wanting. Like I really was like attached to this experience being the way it was. But so I still felt all the things, and I watched it, and I had a little laugh, I had a little laugh about it. But that was a little example for me. I'm not going to speak a lot about sloth and torpor. Just briefly mention that tiredness, sleepiness, laziness, these things can kind of come over us. Like I would notice this coming over me at about 4 o'clock in the evening. And you know, some people note it like, you know, there's just a sleepiness. And it's not that you're sleepy. It's not that you're like truly tired. It's like, it's a hindrance. It arises. It has a way of like pulling. So I would think to myself, oh, I'm not going to go to the evening sit because I'm too tired. But thanks to this, like, the study of the hindrances, you know, which we were doing on a retreat, I was able to see, oh, this is sloth and torpor, because I'd had plenty of sleep. I wasn't like truly tired, and I would see it kind of come over me at the same time every day, right? And so instead of having the action of just ditching and not doing it, I just made some adjustments, right, so that I could still show up. But I could see how that feeling keeps me from engaging with things that are really wholesome and good for me. And so, and some people just experience it like as just being kind of sleepy during the day, or like if you're in meditation, you're just kind of nodding off. Anger and ill will. This is the third hindrance. When we're angry, it could be important for us to communicate what we feel, but how we do it is critical. You know, so it's like noticing when ill will or anger is arising. And when I first, I'm giving a lot of retreat examples because I was just there, and this is really clear for me. When I first got to the retreat, the teachers were giving their introductions, you know, talking about whatever, and my mind was like judging. I didn't like how slow they were talking. I didn't like certain people in the space. I had aversion, anger. There was like this feeling of like judgment coming up within me. And the thing about it is when you can see it, you can't see it if you think there's something wrong with you feeling that way. It arises impersonally. You don't do anything to cause these things from happening, right? But if you see it, oh, this is ill will and anger, one of the hindrances. And I had a lot of experiences of when I would notice a hindrance that vanished, like this one just vanished. They don't always vanish when you see them. Sometimes they get worse, but sometimes they just go away. It's weird. I was like, where did it go? It just vanished. And you can try this for yourself. Okay, my favorite. I'm kidding. And this one is like, so no, the last two, right? These last two, skeptical doubt. These are the two that skeptical doubt and restlessness and worry are the two that I would say I get flooded with the most in my life and my practice. My life is my practice. So skeptical doubt is to be discerned from, for questioning doubt. Because like it's really good, it's always good to question things, and the Buddha taught, you know, A.C. Pasiko, like, come see for yourself. Don't take anyone's word for anything. You practice and you see for yourself. But skeptical doubt is sort of like the way it works around your practice is like you kind of wonder if your practice is working or if it's worth it. You know, it's like, nothing's really happening. Maybe I should be Sufi dancing, you know, maybe I should be, you know, going to Joshua Tree and getting a sound bath, or like whatever the thing may be. We can have shiny object syndrome with spiritual practices, thinking that, okay, yeah, maybe that will create, like, maybe that will make me, maybe that will make this experience a heaven realm. Which it's not. We're not in a heaven realm. You know, earth is clearly, there's tons of dukkha, lots of unsatisfactoriness, along with beauty, but we got both, right? But the mind can start to crave, you know, a place where there's permanent pleasure. And And when we don't have it, we can doubt, the path that we've taken. It can also happen in relationships. So like trusting other people, for example. This is from Tricycle, which I took a lot of information from Tricycle for the preparation of this talk. Every so often I meet someone who seems perfectly congenial on the surface, but something in me just doesn't trust them. This doubt ends up evidencing itself in my behavior and sometimes causes hurt. When is it worth noting these feelings of doubt? And when is it best to just let them go? Okay, so, I think for me too, with relational trauma, which I think is all trauma, trusting people is a thing. Relationships feeling safe, right, is a thing. Relationships may not feel that safe to us, or we may find it really hard to trust people, and that's okay. It's good to know that about ourselves. But what we want to do is investigate sort of what's underneath the doubt. And for us to be, is there sadness? Is there jealousy? Is there fear? Like for me, when I investigate under doubt in relationship, there's a lot of times there's fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being used, right? Which is what it's funny because it's what I ended up helping yogis do, is dismantle shame and self-doubt, right? So it's like, because that's mine, those are right. So I'm an expert because I know it well. So exploring what's under the doubt and not doubt. I'd say doubt is the trickiest one. It's not just me. I've heard this many times because it masquerades as truth. It really seems true. But the way we can also notice it is the feeling tone in the body. It has an unpleasant feeling tone. And it does pull the attention away from the bone. I always think anything that pulls the attention away from the bone can be questioned. And doubt will definitely do that, because what we do is we go up into thinking away from the bone. We start to conceptualize. And the last one, which I was talking to Ruth about, right? Restlessness and worry. As soon as I'm in one place, this is an example, or with one person, I want to be somewhere else or with someone else. Ever experienced that? Or even though the circumstances of my outer life appear stable, inside I'm always second guessing my decisions, worrying about what I've done in the past and what I should do in the future. Sitting practice brings me temporarily into the present moment. But as soon as I'm off the cushion, sitting practice brings me temporarily into the present moment. And so this gives us some clues as to how to work with this particular hindrance. We notice when it's operating. For me, worry and restlessness, I encounter them every day. Gosh, I don't remember the last time every day I encounter them. Often, in the morning, and then, something might happen, it'll trigger it. Restlessness and worry. It was the way I try, it served me well when I was a kid to follow that, and worrying felt like I was doing something about a very unstable home life. But now I have a very stable home life. Restlessness and worry, we really don't need to engage in them. But we have to recognize when they're in operation and see it as a hindrance. It ain't helpful. That's why I love these hindrances, to know them so clearly, because when they arise and we know them, we can rest assured that it's safe to let them go. But we can't let them go if we don't acknowledge that they're in operation. We don't see them, feel them. So this comes back to how we practice with the hindrances. And we're going to transition now into our practice, our meditation practice. But with all of the hindrances, this is the most important point here. Two things are essential. Compassion, which I've talked about, right? Compassion isn't just friendliness, it's friendliness in the face of pain. It's a particular kind of friendliness. And all of the hindrances cause suffering when we follow them, when we act out of them. And so compassion, like, ooh, this hurts. This is hard. This hurts. This is hard. Like, to anything that's hard in our lives, just to, it's hard to feel like I can't settle. It's hard to just not, whatever the thing is that's coming up. It's like compassion, recognizing that it's hard, being kind to that. And then being in the body and letting pleasure in the moment, like whatever's pleasant and nourishing, like letting ourselves sort of like sense into that in the moment, letting the awareness open up to more than just the hindrance. If we know notice the hindrance is an operation. But being in the body, like if we're in the body, it's everything. Like there's nothing more that I can say about it. Like right now, you can be in your body and you just get a different sense of yourself in your body with your breath, not pulled around by the restlessness of the mind, of the thoughts. A lot of the hindrances, all the hindrances are fueled by thinking, right? So I might feel tired and a thought arises, I'm too tired to X. Go out to dinner with Myron. Go out to dinner with my friends, right? Evening times are, for me, that's when this shows up. So it's like seeing it, acknowledging it. Come back to the body, come back to the breath. Okay, all that's here is this feeling in the body. It's like actually it doesn't need to keep me from living my life or being with others. But the thoughts will tell us otherwise. But if we keep awareness closer to the bone, it mitigates the proliferation of papancha or thinking. Okay. All right, we're going to practice now. Let's go ahead and get yourself in your meditation posture. And before we sit, I truth told to you, so I'm curious, what hindrance do you think like you struggle with the most? Is there one? Is there like more than one? Remember, there's anger, ill will, restlessness and worry, sleepiness or sloth and torpor, craving for sensual desire, trust, anger. Yeah, good, yes. Right, so our practice, like Angie and Marlene then, is to just and then I want you to notice doubt. Good, Ruth, yeah. Now I want you to sense Marlene, Angie, Ruth, and Candace. I know she's already, knows hers. I want you to sense, what is your relationship to these hindrances? Meaning, are you ashamed of them? Do you try to make them go away? That's really normal. It's really normal. I was talking to my mom yesterday, and I was talking to her about something that there was crystal clear clarity while I was on retreat about some things in my teaching. Just getting really specific, looking over the years at how I've helped people, at sort of what I do and how I help people. And one of those things that I was like, shame, to dismantle shame. Shame was something that I really struggled with growing up and still arises for sure today. And so, I don't really really have that, And I know she does, because all humans do, right? But she just isn't aware of it. But it's there. So, it's like it's there. So she's, so what we do is if we're not seeing it, and shame is hard to see because shame also seems like truth. If we don't see that it's there, it's operating. It's coming out sideways, for sure. You can count on it.
I always push away the hindrance all the time.
Yeah. So that awareness, Candace,
Yeah.
that's the awareness of somebody who practices awareness, right? Because that's like, that shows the depth of your practice, the fruits of your practice, right? Like, I think a mature practitioner would say, oh shit, yeah, I have those hindrances every day, probably. And a lot of times our relationship is, I don't like them, I try to push them down. So hopefully from our time together today, we can look at our hindrances as they arise today. You might even be having one right now. And rather than turning away from it, noticing what it's like to turn towards it with kindness, without trying to change it, we just notice what happens when we do. Okay, yeah, I was like your mom for a long time. I know, me too. I still do it, I don't get angry. I'm not mad. Whatever, I don't want to be an angry person. I mean, we really hate the hindrances. A lot of religion. Anyone that's selling the removal of the hindrances is selling snake oil. It happens all the time. Do this, do that, and you won't have this anymore. Bullshit. Bullshit. That's just a way to get us to spend more money. Oh, well, then you need this, and you need that, and you need this, and you need that. Nope. Ain't getting rid of the hindrances. The Buddha had them his whole life. So will you. So will I. Now, how do we relate to them? Because it can actually really nourish our practice. The heart is liberated when the hindrances are seen with kindness and compassion. Because you recognize, wow, every human being experiences these things. They don't make them happen. And most people just don't, they haven't cultivated the tools to work with them and free themselves from it. But the promise is freedom. We can't forget the promise is freedom. Liberation, the heart liberated, content, and easily satisfied. This is a true occurrence. It really is a part of awakening, right? So there is a prize. We just can't, we don't dig for it. It just arises through practice. Yeah, so anytime indecision comes up for you, Ruth, you know that you're in restlessness and worry. Yeah, it's good to know that. It's like indecision is fueled from that. Doubt. Or I'm sorry, doubt, not restlessness and worry, doubt. Indecision is doubt. Right? Sometimes it's just, we just choose our decisions, whatever one we made, because there is no right one, There really isn't. All right, if you're on a chair, you'll put your feet on the floor and back away from the back of your chair. Unless you're in pain, always take care of the body and support yourself so that you're not in pain if you can help it. Yes, Ruth, Angie says. I know, it's why we come together in Sangha, right? The three treasures of the path, the teachings, right? But also the Sangha, the community of practitioners, because this is against the stream. I mean, this is not what we've been told, and it's not the way the world operates. Like, the world operates off of delusion. You can have permanent pleasure if you just blank.
The
You can have
world always operates like you're saying. So if I didn't come to Sangha, I would go crazy, mental. I wouldn't want to kill myself. I'm not citrus.
this is like a life-giving practice. I'm so grateful for this practice. And I'm grateful for you, Candace, being here. And all of you here. You're my Sangha, right? I have another Sangha too, but like this is my, y'all are my, yeah. So we'll just, if you want to close your eyes, go ahead. And just creating the conditions of ease in the body by allowing yourself to be at ease. Noticing what ease feels like in this moment. Be in the mystery of your body. Drop the search. And just let your attention rest on the rise and fall of your breathing in your belly. There's no reason to leave the body. Right now, there's no reason that you need to leave the rise and fall of the breath in your belly. Spending some minutes in silence together, just letting awareness gather. Let the body of ease be something that you come back to if you wander away. Rather than fighting the pull, meaning open up our practice to curiosity. Hindrances often have a pull to them, a way that they tug at our attention. To get caught in thought form. Being curious now about whether restlessness is here, or worry, or anger, ill will, or doubt, or sleepiness, or craving. There might be one or more of those that are here with you now. You might notice how does it feel in your throat, in your chest, in your belly? don't get caught up in making sure you get it right. If you sense that there's something kind of in the way between you and feeling free, where is that in your body? And can you meet it with blamelessness? Can you let it just be here? Softening with it. Breathing with it. Coming back to your breath. When the pull of the hindrance is no longer compelling, coming back to the body of ease. Not my fault, not your fault. Allowing, softening with the contraction if you notice it. And then relaxing back into the body of ease, noticing what happens when you acknowledge the contraction. Does it get bigger? Does it get smaller? Does it move? Does it change? Coming back to the breath. And fluttering eyes open. Letting yourself take in your space. Looking over both shoulders. Staying in the body as we come back into community. We close up our Dharma talk and meditation on the Blameless Refuge, exploring the hindrances. Yeah. Noticing the blamelessness of them. And then noticing, or maybe even opening to the idea, to not just to the idea, but to being nourished, like to being nourished by the hindrances, to actually starting to view them as nourishment rather than as indication of your not okayness. Right? The essence of shame is not okay. I'm just not okay. I have a not okayness right to my core. I don't belong in some way with you or with me. And so turning towards the hindrances in this way is like nourishment for enoughness. It is the ground of enoughness. It is the ground of freedom. Not the elimination of the hindrances, but ultimately it's the loving of them. And this is what helps us not act out of them. And that also ties us to connection with all beings everywhere, right? Who struggle with these things as well. All right. Takeaways, you can put them in the chat. What are you taking away from this talk? A few things I want to mention. One, your donations really make a difference. You can Venmo, PayPal me, or Zelle me. Thank you so much for that. These talks are freely offered and your donations really make a difference. So thank you for that. Please do share this with your friends or anyone you think could be, could like spend an hour a week this way. You know, if you know of someone who would benefit from that, have them come. You know, everyone is welcome. And then last but not least, Radiant. Radiant is coming in March. I moved the date because I don't want to make it perfect, but there were some things I wanted to massage and adjust, and like it just needed to happen. So it's happening in March instead of it was going to be happening, I think, this week maybe. Yeah, this week. So it's happening in March.
I'm glad you moved it in March. I'm gonna come, so send the email.
Yeah, I for sure will, Candace. Yeah, it's all to help us dismantle shame and self-doubt so we can fucking take up space and be fully expressed as the radiant human beings that we are, right? So it's for yogis, you know, yogis, because it's, yeah. So anyone you know of who needs to dismantle their shame and their self-doubt, who needs to come out of hiding so they can really shine, you know, I mean, these are the folks that really need, like, get to shine, like, you know, that create healing in the world, right? We have a lot of people shining lots of stuff, right? Getting in our faces with lots of things. It's time for us to get in faces a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's time for us to take up a little bit more space, right? And really shine our light bright, because it is the hope, you know, of the world, really. So they are impersonal. The hindrances are a call for nourishment. That's right. The hindrances are like fertilizer when they're recognized. I'm not kidding. This teaching was so crystal clear for me. I've known of the hindrances for 2 decades. I've been practicing that long. Something clicked for me in this one. I'm not pretending to be an expert by any sense, but I really grokked the freedom that's possible when you look and you name and you notice and you're able to identify the hindrances with friendliness. Oh, I'm caught. You know, it's like, yay, I caught it. You know, that's the attitude, because it does liberate the heart. Shine our light. All right, loves. Mwah. I'll see you next week. We're going to do the 4th Noble Truth. So I'll see you next week for the 4th Noble Truth.
Bye.
And bye-bye. Bye-bye.